Well, welcome back to another edition, this week's edition of Made for Mexico. This is the podcast where we help you decide if you are made for Mexico. So this week, I'm happy to bring back my lovely wife, Erin.
I'm back.
You're back.
I'm back, baby.
So we get this question all the time. People wondering how they can start.
Yes, like messages, Facebook messages, emails. How do I get going? We want to move there. How do we start? Give us some tips. So here we are.
And there's also ways to look at starting, whether you're investing into a property or thinking of purchasing as a vacation home. But we're going to focus a little bit more of how you can actually start the process of moving to Mexico.
Yeah.
So I like to say, moving to Mexico isn't just about changing your address. It's really about making lifestyle design a priority for yourself and changing the conventional way we lived in Canada, US, in the Canada-US rush. So it's an incredible opportunity to create a new life for yourself. Really, lifestyle design.
Lifestyle design. And we were able to do it. I'm grateful for it.
Yeah. So, where that process really, I think, just starts with saying yes, we're going to do it. Mm-hmm. What was the process like for you, Erin? How did you make the decision that you were going to move to Mexico?
Well, as I think we touched on it in our first episode, we had an opportunity for work. It was a 6-month opportunity, and you came to me, and I wasn't a yes right off the bat. You took some convincing. For sure I did. It's a whole different change. It was resigning from my job, which I enjoyed. And, we had great friends, and our family was in Canada. So it's not like it was just a easy decision like you. You were yes right off the bat, where I took maybe a little more convincing. And, but, we loved living in Canada. I loved living there. We had great social circle, but we're not like 100% fulfilled with how we wanted our lifestyle to be.
We're definitely looking for something more, something different. And you took a little convincing. I was all in, not saying I don't miss my family and good friends. I think that was the big part. But, for me, I was in transition already.
Yeah. Well, and I think I think you had said to me early on, like, Erin, if it doesn't work out, we can always come back. Like, we're young. We can try it. And if it doesn't work, we come back and start over. We're young, able-bodied, we're healthy, and we're smart. So, this is something we have to take advantage of. So I think thinking of that, maybe convinced me to kind of move forward with taking the decision to say yes.
Yeah. And, very gratefully, we're still see a lot of our family and friends.
For sure. They just come to us now.
They come to us. We moved to one of the best places in the world, and people come visit you. So we definitely had that luxury. Mm-hmm. What did you find, I guess, after you made the decision, sharing this information? Yeah,
mixed feelings for sure. People were excited, but I had some maybe negative reactions from close friends. I remember a day we made our decision, I had a spin class with one of my best friends, and we were jumping on the bike, and I told her, and her reaction was not how I thought it was. It was not happy, It
wasn't happy.
And I spent the whole class thinking, oh my God, like what? Like, she's upset. And she sent me a message the next day. She's like, I'm sorry for my reaction. I'm going to miss you.
She was worried about losing you.
Yeah. And my parents too were nervous. My dad said, I think to you take care of my daughter. You make sure she's okay. And, but I think for the most part, people were excited.
Yeah. It was hard for some people to grasp and digest. And I don't have to say it. As foreigners, we've all been fed so much propaganda about Mexico.
The media does that a bit, you know.
So just my advice there to everyone is just turn off the tell lie vision.
Don't believe the hype. Yeah. it's not true.
Yeah.
It's not true.
I remember telling you, just because we were born in this frigid country doesn't mean we have to stay here.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we have to stay here forever. So
that was it. So that helped. We were ready.
We made the decision to do it. We made the decision. I'll say I had it pretty easy. I just said, yes, we're doing this. And Aaron took care of most of the details.
That's how you roll, Brand May. Say yes and figure out the details later.
That's right.
But you left me to do, a lot of the stuff to handle. I mean, which was fine. It was good.
For me, it was an important change because I had older brothers and they were great role models. They gave me a lot of great advice, and they had told me, don't fall into this keeping up with the Joneses type lifestyle. And
which we kind of did.
When we moved to Calgary, Alberta, it was refreshing in a lot of ways. People were happy that you were working hard and running a business and, doing all these things. So it was a nice refreshing from the small town I came from where, people condemned you for making money almost
but it was a grind.
And then somehow got caught up with it. It was just like more and more and more. And I woke up one day and just felt like I've become a slave to my own life. Yeah. And that was where, we had a great life and a lot of success. Not that we weren't happy. We were happy. You had all the things that make one appear to be successful. But we were quite fulfilled. So we're looking for something more. And I think this just came at the right time, this opportunity.
Yeah. And the benefits that we've gotten to experience have just been amazing. Like, I think for me, a lot of the weather plays a factor in the ability to be outside more, be all social, active. We were active in Canada from, we skied and did all the
mountains.
But you see how much more being outside is important, getting fresh air, the ocean air. It's just given me more fulfillment. I feel healthier.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely breathing in that fresh ocean air consistently. Huge. We don't have to just do it a few months a year.
Yeah.
We get let out of our cage in Canada. And
if the weather's nice.
And then you have the clean mountain air. So just breathing the space around the food, eating natural.
Well,
growing.
And the cost of living to buy fresh food.
Yeah.
So
incredible amount of benefits to how we, created a new lifestyle design for ourselves. There's all these things that we've shifted that really made the difference. So
absolutely.
So next step with getting started, how people can start, I think it's important for them to figure out what the destination is they want to be in. Now, Mexico is a great big country. There's a lot of variety, even in some of the culture, the geography, the landscape, the climate. So
yeah, and we were lucky to have visited a ton of places in Mexico. So the decision was easy for us on where we wanted to be. Yeah,
we didn't even know we were doing research previously. 15 years of traveling to Mexico to different beach towns. We were doing research for our future lives. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, we got a little taste of all these different areas. But for us, I come from a very small town. Yes. As you know, Landis, Saskatchewan, 300 people.
Blink and you miss it.
Yeah, on the highway. Aaron's from a city.
A little bigger of a city.
North Battleford, a larger city where I moved to.
The metropolis.
Yeah. And coming from, smaller city and smaller centers, I think is what helped us gravitate. One of the reasons gravitate towards Huatulco.
For sure. I like the small town feel of Huatulco. I like that you can drive across the town in 15 minutes?
Yeah. You might be 20 end to end and pretty much in your day-to-day 5 minutes to everywhere.
Yeah. You can walk into a restaurant and at least know a table or two. And, stupid story, but I broke down. My tire was flat a couple of years ago, and within not even a minute, somebody was helping me, but somebody I knew was helping me.
Drove up. Yeah.
I love that. That's, I missed that from growing up in small town Saskatchewan.
Yeah, so that definitely is what one thing we found refreshing. And you said the commute, 5 minutes anywhere. That's a huge benefit from where we lived.
Definitely.
We lived in Calgary and then in Cochrane, Alberta.
I was 1 hour commute,
1 hour.
One way.
One way. So 2 hours of every day in your car, nice car.
If the weather was good.
If the weather was good, yeah, sometimes longer. So, that's amazing now. It reminds me of a story when we first moved down to our new penthouse in Viewpoint in Porto Angel. We kind of were hanging on to our Canadian life a little bit, and we had Shaw satellite TV.
Well, we needed to watch our hockey.
Yeah, I had to get the hockey, and we had HBO, which was nice. And so we were able to set up satellites at that time. And, now our commute was from basically our bedroom, walking out to our kitchen table, opening up our laptops.
Yeah.
But we'd have breakfast television on, and of course it's winter. It's January, and there's a blizzard happening in Calgary. We're watching the breakfast news in Calgary, and they're showing Aaron's route on the Deerfoot with traffic just backed up, and Aaron's kind of almost a little bit villainously laughing, that pointing at the TV like,
no more.
I'm no longer commuting.
Do not have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Look at me now.
Yeah, the benefits just go on and on, but that's been one of the things, the lack of commute. Now we're not just walking out to our kitchen table, but our commutes are still 5 minutes to work.
Yeah, for sure.
Living in multiple areas of Huatulco. So
yeah, and I mean, like, what would you say are a couple things that if you do get people's feedback, constructive feedback about Huatulco or why it's not for them, what is the reason? Well,
I love to say there's so many positives about Huatulco. I mean, we love it for the outdoor adventure, ecotourism, whether you're wanting to be
beaches,
paddleboarding, hiking, biking in the mountains, snorkeling's amazing. So there's all these ecotourism benefits, and as we already mentioned, we love the small town vibe of it all. There's an authentic vibe, but it's not for everyone. I'd say some people find it a little too hot for them.
Yeah,
we are.
I would say that's the feedback.
30 degrees Celsius every day, sometimes 32. It's very consistent all through the summer, but some people want a more temperate climate. Sure. So that'd be one thing. And I'd say maybe the only other resistance to being in Huatulco specifically is the size for some people.
Maybe
some people
it is too small.
Want a bigger place.
Yep.
With maybe more activity to do, nightlife and that sort of thing. So, which is a big reason why, we expanded our business beyond just focusing on Huatulco. We realized, although it's the place for us, it's the place we love to be. It's our match. It's not for everyone. So I looked at the characteristics about Huatulco and found other areas as I consider them to be top emerging real estate markets. So depending on your lifestyle, and that's why we picked these strategic markets, being Puerto Escondido, Oaxaca, besides Huatulco, being Mazatlan, Sinaloa, and being Progreso / Merida, Yucatan.
Yeah, all different areas, all offer different things.
Offer very different lifestyle. So you can design your lifestyle much differently and benefit incredibly in these different areas. But you're also getting in a place that's emerging where you can also know you're buying smart and investing smart. So that's really our focus. But, just thinking about Puerto Escondido, it's a younger vibe.
Yeah. Bigger city,
still on the beach, still great climate, similar climate or pretty much the same as Huatulco. Maybe a little more party scene.
Yep.
It's
or nightlife.
Yeah. It's growing more organically. You could say maybe similar to Puerto Vallarta. But climate-wise, much similar to Huatulco. Then for someone that wants a little bit cooler, you can look at Mazatlan or Progreso Merida. At least in the summer, or pardon me, in the winter months, it's cooler.
More fresh,
it's like
for sure.
25, 26 in there, so still warm enough, but not the heat we love in Huatulco. And then there's both of those areas. Like Merida's an incredible city, clean,
beautiful
safe,
city.
Both Mazatlan and Merida, they have professional state-of-the-art baseball stadium.
The arts and culture scene, more options for sure.
More options.
Theater and things like that.
Historic downtown, so they offer something different. So strategically, we chose those areas not just for investment opportunity, but because they offered a different lifestyle design for people.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so picking the destination, is an important factor for people to consider. So we recommend trips down.
Yeah.
We have a stay and play discovery trip.
I think it's important for people to come and take a test drive of the area. If you think you're interested in it, you've done some research. I mean, we've got a ton of, free content or free information on our website, but then it's the coming down. And yeah, the stay and play is a nice way to take the test drive of the area. Can I really live here? Is it big enough? Does it offer enough for me to live?
Yeah.
Yeah. A day in a life.
Definitely come down. I think our stay and play is a great way because you get insights from the real estate agents, stuff you might not learn in a month or even years that you learn by going on our stay and play and getting a crash course of what, life's really like as an expat here in Huatulco or Maz or Porto or Yucatan. But we've seen the opposite too. We've seen people just follow our blogs and look at our Facebook pics and like, I think we can relate to those guys and they look pretty happy and let's just do it. And they just move. We've had people move here that never even been here before. They just came and did it and immersed themselves and, are owning their Mexico life.
And loving it.
Yeah.
And loving it.
Yeah. So definitely explore, research, pick the right destination for you. So hopefully you can settle in for a while.
Then it's the getting down here.
That's getting down here. And that's another thing to consider is transportation.
Yeah.
So transportation, I guess some people maybe don't need transportation when they get down here as far as they want to live simply.
Yeah. And
taxis not own a car. Taxis are
everywhere and inexpensive. It's not hard to catch a taxi within town to anywhere you need to go.
Yeah, there are lots of options with taxis. I think all over most of Mexico.
Collectivos.
Here in Huatulco, we find them very inexpensive. You're, I think, under 40 pesos to pretty much almost anywhere.
Yeah.
Or the most places you go. Other option is to fly down. Fly down and buy a vehicle down here. You do need to know about residency to purchase a vehicle, at least legally. Or you can drive down.
Which we did. Twice.
And why we drove down? Well, we were starting a new life and working together, so we wanted our vehicle.
And we wanted to bring some things.
We brought some stuff down. Yeah. And, just driving down, so many stories popped through my head. I'm trying to think now, when we were driving down, we had a full load. Again, I had my new tires on my truck, was driving fast, but we were just north of Mazatlan.
Well, it's important just to preface this with the fact that we bought a map.
Oh, yes.
we thought we were really smart. And we bought this map.
It was me, I'll confess.
To get down here.
I maybe winged it a little too fast with my job of going and getting the map.
Your one job.
I thought I had this very detailed map of U.S. and Canada in one booklet, so I was pretty proud of myself. Well, it turned out it was very detailed for the U.S., but once we got into Mexico,
not so much.
We had one page that just covered multiple states. And I was like,
I don't know how we got down here.
So yeah, we were pretty much two hippies in a Chevy, just driving down and feeling it all out along the coast. So yeah, that was obviously interesting. We probably could have bypassed a few things if we had a more detailed map. This was before Google Maps existed.
Yeah.
15 years ago.
As they were beginning.
Yeah. I think you get a TomTom. I think some people have a
TomTom.
Yeah. So, road signs can be a little bit confusing in Mexico, we found. And my job was to drive.
My job is to navigate.
Aaron was a navigator.
With the map that Brent bought.
It's an extremely good map. So you can be driving and you can see multiple signs that are telling you, this way to Mazatlan, but then there's an exit this way to Mazatlan, so this way. So we end up getting confused in an exit and
easily
end up taking a ramp off of the main highway. And next thing you know, we're on this back highway. And, this is after multiple days of driving. We're a little bit stressed out. I think Erin was crying by this stage.
There were some tears.
And I'm probably yelling and a little bit and frustrated. So we're driving along. I'm like, okay, well, this makes sense. We're still heading south. We're all good. We're just, driving parallel to the highway. So at some point, let's find a road that we can cut across, kind of portage across and get back to the highway was the plan. So we found the highway.
Yep.
We cut across and we end up getting into this little town. And for the life of me,
I could not get out.
I could not find out.
It was like the Bermuda Triangle. Like we were trapped in this town.
I was driving up and down and through the streets, and some streets were concrete and stone, and some were dirt, and we're making circles. And Erin's crying.
Still crying.
And I remember I'm heading down this street, and there's these 3-story buildings, a narrow street on both sides. And sure enough, I see the policia come up behind me, and the lights go on, and we're like,
oh man,
oh shit. So we're kind of freaking out, like, what's going to happen here?
Yeah.
This isn't good. We'd already had one other police interaction that went over quite well.
It was fine.
Yeah. Or a little bit north. And so out comes this police officer. He's got this huge M16 hanging around his shoulder, and just got this stereotypical Mexican look with this mustache, thin mustache out. And so I rolled on the window with big eyes, and we're like, hola. And
I had learned to say we are lost in Spanish long before this, because
so he's looking at us, and we kind of say a few words, and he thinks this is funny, I guess. So he turns and says something. I don't know what he says to all of his officers. And in the meantime, there's people over their balconies in this narrow street all looking over. And so he announces our stupidity, I think, to them. And everyone's, ho, 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 everyone's laughing. We're like, oh my God, what's going on here? And meanwhile, he turns around and his M16's banging on the side of my truck. I'm like, are you scratching my paint, dude? But we're just trying to be smiley and happy. And so I get out the map, and I'm like pointing at the map. And so he thinks that's funny. So again, he turns to everyone and says something out, and everyone's laughing in the street. There's more people over the balconies, and everyone's looking over us. And we're like, oh my God, what is going to happen next? And he sticks his head in the window again, and Erin says again, we're lost. And I'm pointing at the highway. Can you get us to the highway? And he's like, yeah, no problem. Basically, just follow me, and gets back in his vehicle and signals to all of his officers and puts his hazards on. And I'm like, oh, he wants us to follow him. So we followed him, and he drove us right up to the highway.
Like, see you later.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Policeman. And so he got us back on our way, but, lost in some little Mexican town north of Mazatlan.
What an adventure.
One of our many experiences. So, point being, Erin, did you ever feel unsafe driving down?
Never, ever.
Yeah. We had probably, if I recall, I think 4 different police interactions, and none of them were scary.
No. Yeah. It's something you read about.
Yeah,
we were prepared for that.
Mostly in the day, but we'd even drove at night sometimes. Yep. So, transportation, back to that, planning for it. We preferred to have our own vehicle down.
Yep.
There's a cost to it, though. You have toll highways,
right?
Gasoline, hotels, food, and depending how many days you do the drive.
Right.
We did 8 days of driving, 12 days total our first year on the West Coast route. Mm-hmm. The next year, we did it in 8 days, I think 7 days of driving.
On the east side.
Yeah, and that was more freeways and toll highways.
It was much easier. The signage was way better.
Way better.
Yeah.
So definitely got options to consider about your transportation down here. Something else you consider is residency.
Yeah, there's 3 types.
There's
types. The tourist visa, which normally people come down on when you fly. The airlines take care of that, but it gets you 180 days in Mexico. Or a second one, temporary residency.
Temporary residency,
up to 4 years.
Up to 4 years. You can get them 1 year, up to 3 years at a time, I believe now. You used to be able to just get 1 year, and you had to always renew it.
Right. So that's changed for the better.
And that's probably the easiest to achieve is temporary residency, and you can still get a work permit with your temporary residency.
And so, then,
you can drive a vehicle in from out of country and get a permit is one of the other benefits of temporary residency.
And then there's permanent residency.
And then there's permanent. So I advise most people if they're moving, just go straight to permanent if you can. There's financial, you have to meet some financial, I guess showing you're not going to be a detriment to Mexico.
Yeah.
So those have been changing a little bit due to Mexico's minimum wage increasing the qualification.
Yeah. We ended up just getting our permanent in Phoenix.
Well, that's a good story because we had our temporary first.
Yeah.
And I actually in the spring one year let mine expire accidentally. My father had passed away and I wasn't in a good headspace, and so they weren't very helpful with us renewing it.
No.
So we ended up going for our permanent, and we actually were denied in Calgary for our permanent.
Yeah, they were tough.
They weren't, the most friendly we found, and they seemed to deny us because they said we weren't 60. Yeah. I'm like, well, I've never read anything about that. We were kind of arguing, but anyway, and we happened to be doing a promotional event in Phoenix, and I said, Aaron, why don't we check out the consulate there? And we were able to get an appointment before, and
breezy.
They were very helpful, and I think they were kind of excited that
they let us interview together too, which
was
kind of uncommon. Like typically, you book 2 appointments for 2 different people separately, but it was a good experience for sure.
Really good. I was trying to really make a case that we're good people and we're involved in charity and all this stuff, but they were just looking at us like, but you already live there, right? And we're like, yeah, we live there.
I don't know how many years we had
and so we had already been 2 years temporary. Anyway, that was our story of getting our permanent. I'd say one maybe downside of the permanent is you technically can't get a vehicle permit for a vehicle with foreign plates. So you can only do that with your temporary. So that's something depending if you really want to drive your vehicle in with a visa, it's something to...
Yeah, we've got some good up-to-date content about that. So we've got some good information that people can refer to. Yeah,
there's a blog, how to import your vehicle to Mexico.
Things do change.
They do change, and there's some rules about how old or new the vehicle can be if you're importing. So you can check that out on our blog. So what about some other practical moving tips?
Some choose to ship or bring, we've known people who will load majority of their personal belongings, furniture in a trailer and bring it down. We
do have a moving company we can recommend if you want to move all your stuff down. I've seen some guys, some road warriors like we were, load up their big truck and a flatbed trailer or an enclosed-in trailer and bring stuff down. So
we ended up storing a lot of our things and just buying.
We stored and sold, and made me cry a little bit. I like to hang on to things, but Aaron sold off a lot of our stuff at a fire sale. So and that's a good point because you can get stuff down here much easier than when we moved.
Way easier than when we moved. There was one option, and now there's tons of great furniture.
If you remember when we lived at Viewpoint, everybody had the same coffee maker.
Everybody had the same everything.
Everybody had the same toaster because that was the one option you could get at the store.
Yes.
Yeah. So they've come a long ways. Now there's more options.
Designers you can work with, and lots
great
of
designers.
furniture.
You can get stuff from Costco. You can get stuff from Amazon, Liverpool. So
there's great options.
So you don't have to bring everything with you. I think as humans we attach to things, but I wouldn't call myself a hoarder, but I like to hang on to some things, and it was cleansing selling off everything.
It feels good.
We basically brought down sporting gear in our vehicle and, I think a couple TVs and started over. So it was a cleansing feeling for sure. So anyway, good tips. You can get stuff shipped or drive it down.
Yeah.
Or buy new.
Or buy new.
Something else I think on people's minds all the time is if they're moving, the financial considerations. So obviously for a retiree, they have some sort of pension or maybe investments that are able to be paid for them. So they're not so worried about working. That's the point. They're not working anymore. They're coming down, but they have, their financial side is all set up. But for younger people, we got a lot of younger people moving now.
Yeah, we've had a lot in the last, 5 years?
Yeah, I think since 2020 it started really changing.
And yeah.
Yeah, so
young people like us.
We get that. That's right, young people like us. We get a lot of people asking, Brent, Aaron, what can we do for a living? How do we make money? I'll just, give advice. There's lots of opportunity. Mexico's economy is rising. So there's lots of niche businesses. Online skills. You have some sort of skills. Maybe you can apply them to online work or remote work. For us, I was a contractor who invested in real estate. So I had that, but being a contractor, as you can imagine, I wasn't so savvy on the computer, and we took courses and had a good trainer. Yeah. My good friend, Michael Lasky, and he taught us how to be internet marketers and content marketers and write blogs. And
yeah, I think back to our website.
You built our vacation website, and, learning how to work with WordPress. So it was a big learning curve for us, but learning that new skill is really what helped us survive and thrive here in Mexico. Yeah. Being content marketers. So, again, I'll just say it. We did it. And you can do it too. Yeah. And there's definitely lots of ways to earn income here in Mexico. So, starting out, making that decision, do you want to do it? And the rest will fall into play. Right. Confident of that. Yeah. So we already talked about residency. Healthcare, is another, I think, important thing people want to consider and question and wonder about. As Canadians, we have, quite good healthcare. It's maybe hard to get into things, sometimes timely, but it's technically free for the most part. Americans have different plans, private healthcare options. So, something people always want to consider here in Mexico. I'll just say, if you're living here and get residency, you can apply to receive IMSS. That's a public system. My understanding is that's phased in, over time, over years that you're here. There's, of course, health insurance. Yeah, we did it our first year. International insurance. We did our first year. I think it was an 8-month package we'd purchased through.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I forget who it was even too. Yeah. It's that Alberta Medicals Association. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But what we kind of found felt a bit cumbersome to try and get the benefits back, apply for them, and for the amount of money. Yeah, we found it so inexpensive for our minor healthcare needs. We just decided to pay as we go. And we did that for years. And it was great. Paid when we needed something. We had great service. Really great healthcare, I'll just say, healthcare is much more affordable and much better than what probably most people think in Mexico. Oh, absolutely. It's clean. It's state-of-the-art. A lot of the doctors, train in the U.S. and come back, or they're trained very well. I have so many healthcare stories with time, but I guess for us, as time went on, our company grew and we ended up getting group benefits. So now we have group benefits through Bayside. But, from holistic healers to state-of-the-art technology to great dentists to good clinics. And more all the time. And then, I recently went to Mexico City and did a full head-to-toe body checkup, stayed in a hotel right in the hospital. It was phenomenal. A translator was provided, and we went through everything for what it was about 35,000 pesos. So let's just say roughly $2,000, give or take, between Canadian and American. But it's so comprehensive, gave me a full, understanding of where my health was. And I booked that within a couple weeks. Yeah. They were trying to book me in a couple of months, but I was a little bit persistent, and then they worked me in.
Yeah.
So
another positive story. Like,
yeah,
they've all been so positive.
That's right. Just cannot, I have another blog about an emergency cyst that had to be removed. It was so shocking. And from realizing I needed to be removed, I was in and out of surgery from seeing my general practitioner in just a couple hours and back home resting.
Yeah.
It was just unbelievable how fast it happened and how affordable it happened. The test to get the cyst tested cost more than the actual surgery by a little bit. So very affordable.
Yeah.
So lots of things to consider with healthcare, but don't be scared. It's definitely a positive thing.
For sure.
I think something else on a lot of people's mind is where to live, buy or rent.
Yeah.
I always say to clients, ideally you need to come down.
Yeah.
Because the real estate comes second. You really want to touch and feel the area, touch and feel the neighborhood,
the community,
make sure the neighborhood's right for you. Yeah. And once you realize that, then you can look at the real estate that's in that community. Mm-hmm. But you need to touch and feel it. And whether you're going to rent or buy.
Yeah, and from a buying perspective, I always encourage people to come down and get boots on the ground to find a long-term rental. It can be a little bit challenging. So,
yeah, well, the reality is rentals are in super high demand.
Very high demand.
Affordable rentals especially.
Yes.
So finding long-term can be challenging. And reality is a lot of our buyers, they're not wanting to rent their place for a year. They want to use it. They want to enjoy it.
I don't blame them. Yeah.
They might rent it for half the year or something. But
yeah.
So,
but deals can be made, and it's absolutely doable. It's just, it's nice to come down and where do you want to rent if you want to rent? What community works for you? I
think renting provides some flexibility. Mm-hmm. I always struggle. I've owned my first home when I was 20 years old, and I have trouble putting money into rent. I feel like I'm throwing it away. So being I'm a broker, I'm a little biased, but renting provides flexibility and sometimes might be a good start. I like to think people that say, oh no, I have to rent for a year before I'll buy. And well, you may be missing out on some great opportunities by locking yourself into a year. And I think being at the mercy of landlords, potentially increasing rent or kicking you out. And,
in high season, when you can't find anything.
We've seen that. So, I like to gear towards people, getting their boots on the ground, making sure this is the right place for them, but then making an investment. Some people buy pre-construction and rent till their place is ready. Mm-hmm. But whichever you choose, there are options, and definitely buying will get you into the market, into the investment market, and a market that we see appreciating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of our younger people are moving with families.
Tons of,
What
small kids and
what advice do you have for them?
Well, I mean, it's been nice to see because you can immerse them into the culture. There's U.S. credited schools, bilingual schools, so they learn a new language. And I mean, the social aspect of, I think it's easier to meet other people when you do have kids too. But there's great sports activities and things that your kids can do, and then it benefits you as a parent too, because you can meet more people along the way.
Well, and the kids are so adaptable.
Yeah.
The young families we know, their kids pick up Spanish very easily, and there's different school options, public, private. Most places have U.S. accredited schools. There's a place we know in Huatulco called Jungle School.
Yeah.
They just go out.
There's surfing for little kids and everything. Yeah, so, the Jungle School. That's
lots of great options.
Yeah.
We have some blogs. I'll just reference 10 reasons why moving your family to the Oaxaca coast is an excellent idea. It's a great blog on our site. Lifestyle Design in Huatulco, one family's life-changing story. And how to achieve work-life balance in Mexico, and that's the Mike Leon family story. Yeah. So some great blogs about moving with kids on our website. So how do you move to Mexico and really create a new life for yourself? I'd say it starts beyond just the logistics of doing it. It's really about getting yourself out there.
Yes.
Getting involved
in the community, for
in the
sure.
community.
And we did that. I think, when we first moved, we got right into the work mode. We met people through our business, right? And a lot of them became friends that we're still friends with to this day, 14, almost 15 years later. But then for me, it wasn't until we moved to Huatulco that I met more people my age and like-minded. And that's when my social circle really evolved for me.
Right.
We began giving back, volunteering, where we got to meet wonderful people, social events, music. We're music lovers. So just getting out there.
Yeah, I think, being the business of our nature, it was very easy to meet people, whether it's clients that become friends or just working with other people in the different tourism industries that we get to meet that way. So for us, meeting people is not tough.
No.
But, the average person moving down definitely want to get involved with some expat groups.
And there's
whether on Facebook or actual meetups.
Yeah.
It's a great way. Different sports, I guess, get out there. I mean, pickleball's is all the new rage.
Yeah,
and, definitely people are doing that actively. Volunteering is a great way to meet people as well.
For sure.
So, I think it's fairly easy taking Spanish lessons. You can do that by group as well. And lots of great ways to meet people.
There's a ton of great ways.
Yeah. So, rounding this out, that's, basically some of the key components to how you can start moving your life to Mexico, creating and prioritizing a life design that, enhances your quality of life. Aaron, if you were to give one piece of advice to anyone, pondering this decision or dreaming about moving to Mexico, what would your advice be?
I would just say go for it. Like I said at the beginning, you can always go back, but you get this one life. And if you're looking for a lifestyle change and you want to take in the benefits that Mexico can give you, do it.
Yeah,
just take the steps, set a goal. And
make the choice, say yes, and write down your plan.
Yeah.
Create a plan, create an outline.
You'll never regret it.
You'll never regret it. You can always go back if you don't.
Back.
So if you've been liking our content, please go below and subscribe to our channel. Our playlist is Made for Mexico podcast. You can also select the notification to get notified every time we put up a new video. Please like and share the information. We really appreciate it. Aaron, thanks so much for being back on the show.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to be here. And I think just really telling our visitors there's an amazing life. I'd say our lives evolved so much moving to Mexico. We gained a new perspective. I went from someone working the rat race on the treadmill and moving to Mexico, especially moved to this little village. We saw people that maybe didn't look so rich from what the standards we'd learned, but getting to know these people better and observing, and they got family around them. They got some cold Coronas in their hands. They got some fish from the sea, and they actually were quite rich.
That's wealth.
That's wealth. They're very happy, and for me, it brought on a whole new perspective of how much does a person really need to be happy. It's not the things, it's not the possessions that are going to make you happy.
It redefines rich. It really redefines what rich is.
Redefined what we felt rich was and wealth is and success is. And that's, we thank Mexico for helping us, get to that next level in our perception. There's a wonderful life down here. We're definitely feeling very grateful for where we are today.
Yes.
And at that, we're going to sign off. TIM, this is Mexico. And this is the show where we find out if you are made for Mexico. I'm Brent May.
I'm Aaron May.
Adios.
Adios.